जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपी नाथा मदन मोहन गोपी नाथा मदन मोहन हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for being here and this wonderful opportunity of sharing a little bit what I have read so far. In Shastra it is given that one can only fly as high as their flight is. So we can see the eagles, they can fly very, very high in the sky. But a little sparrow can only fly a little bit on the tree. So that is me, that sparrow is me. I have very limited knowledge about the scriptures and realizations, but I'll try my best to share what I know. Thank you so much. We'll start the Pranam Mantras. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Rutha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Bhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। दन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। Hare Krishna. With all of your permission, let's start. So we'll have some discussion today from Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, which is called as Karma Yoga. In Karma Yoga, Krishna talks about to Arjuna about who is the doer. Any ideas? Any guess what Krishna is talking about? Krishna is saying, who is the real doer? We all think we are the doers, right? We are the controllers of our family, of our surroundings, of our friends, relatives. But Krishna is saying, who is the real doer? So let's dive deep a little bit. Repeat after me. Prakrutihe kriyamāṇāni gunaihi karmāni sarvashah. Kriyamāṇāni gunaihi karmāni sarvashah. Ahankara vimud atma karta aham iti manyate. Aham iti manyate. Can somebody read the translation?
The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are potentially carried out by the three modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives in the purport that two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convinced by the false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his nuisance. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature, under the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna. In Krishna consciousness, the ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesha. Rishikesha, who is the controller of senses, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So in this verse, Krishna is talking about that person, because of ahankar, that vimud atma, that foolish atma, thinks that he is the doer, he is the controller of everything. Then in the next verse, Krishna says, Tattvavit tu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayoho. You can. Guna karma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sajjate. Na sajjate. Can somebody read the translation?
And sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work for fruitive results.
So Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that the knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material creation. He knows his real identity as part and parcel of the Supreme, who is eternal bliss and knowledge, and he realizes that somehow or other he is entrapped in the material conception of life. In this pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reactions, which he considers to be the mercy of the Lord. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in three different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Tattvavit. For he knows also his own factual position in relationship with the Supreme. So we will look at this Tattvavit, what it means in a little bit. So let's go back. So in this slide, you can see how the three modes of material nature, Krishna is telling Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita that no one, either here on the earthly planets or among the demigods, is free from the influence of three modes. So we can look at the universe from Patala Lok going all the way to Brahmaji's planet. No one is free from these three modes of material nature. So what to speak of us, right? Even Brahmaji can get bewildered, and we know all about the Brahma Vimohan Leela, right? So in 3.1.16, Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says in the purport that A conditioned soul is absorbed in material existence under the influence of different modes of external energy of the Lord. Absorbed in the false ego, he thinks that he is doing everything by himself. The external energy of the Lord, the material nature, is fully under the control of the Supreme Lord. So, the material nature, the whole creation, is under the influence of the Supreme Lord. So that also includes the three modes of material nature, the whole Prakriti, right? Goodness, passion, ignorance, this sky, earth, anything that's around us, everything is directly under the control of who? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Okay, so far we are good. We understand that everything is under the control of the Supreme Lord, including the demigods, including Brahmaji, everyone. So in 9.10, it says, Maya Dhakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sa Characharam Hetuna Anena Kaunteya Jagad Vipara Virtate. So Krishna is telling, O son of Kunti, anything that is mobile or immobile in this material world is under my control, Maya Adhyakshena. Here, in this slide, it talks about a spirit soul with material consciousness. What does he think? And in spiritual consciousness, what does he think? How does he behave? So in material consciousness, the spirit soul, under the influence of false ego. So when the spirit soul, which is pure in nature, gets in touch with the material nature, gets contaminated, and it gets under the influence of false ego. And it starts identifying itself with this body. And then that's when we start saying, my body, my friend, my relatives, right? All mine. He considers himself as a doer. And he takes all the credit of doing everything independently. Whereas the person in Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, under the influence of internal energy, understands material nature under control of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the doer. Supreme Lord Rishikesha directs material energy to create gross and subtle bodies. So the person who understands that the Supreme Personality is in control, he understands who is the real doer. So we will take couple examples from Srimad Bhagavatam to see these people with different mentality. One who is under the influence of false ego, how he behaves. And then we will also look at some examples of person or the realized souls who are under the influence of internal energy, working under Radharani. How they behave, how they take these disturbances of material nature as Krishna's mercy. So we'll talk briefly about the story of King Vena. How many of you have heard or read about King Vena? Yeah, so we know that King Vena, from very childhood, he was very cruel, very cruel. He actually enjoyed torturing his friends. He would play with his friends, and just for fun, he would beat them, he would drown them in the water. That's how cruel Vena was from the childhood. He actually comes from a very great lineage, but because of, from his mother's side, who was the daughter of Mrityu, it is said that impurities came in him, and that's why he was very cruel from the childhood. So when Maharaj his father, he passes away. At that time, there is no one to rule the kingdom. And all the thieves and rogues, they start looting the kingdom and, giving trouble to the people in the kingdom. And the sages are really concerned about the populace, and they think, what should we do? They say, okay, let's, put Vena on the throne. But they also know they also know that how cruel Vena is. But they had no choice, because they also knew that because Vena is so cruel, the thieves and rogues are afraid of him. So they thought that, okay, at least they will solve one problem. And then later we can talk to Vena and we can kind of cultivate his consciousness and bring him to the platform of a Raja Rishi. So they enthrone Vena on the throne. And now, after getting the throne, Vena is thinking that he is the Parameshwara. He is the controller of everything. He becomes so proud of his opulence and his possessions that he starts insulting the sages. He does not listen to them. If we know about Raja Rishis, what do they do? What are they famous for? Why are they called Raja Rishis? Like Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj. They are Raja Rishis because they are God conscious. They are always thinking how to uplift the subjects, the people from kingdom, from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. They have Brahmanas as their guides, as their they talk to Brahmanas, they discuss with Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas, being the head of the intelligence or the society, they guide the Raja, the king, on how to come up with different strategies to uplift the people in kingdom to the spiritual consciousness. And the kings used to listen to these Brahmanas. And so the head of a Brahmana, right? Actually, His Grace Radhesham Prabhu gives a very nice analogy here. He says Brahmanas are like a bullet. But if we just throw a bullet on somebody, is that going to make any difference? No. But when you put that bullet in the armor, bullet in the gun, that gun being the Kshatriyas, the kings, because that gun has all the power to make it happen. So if you put that bullet in the gun and you shoot it, that will have the most effect. So this is how these Raja Rishis, they ran their kingdoms. But Vena, on the other hand, he is thinking, I am the doer. So, like a mad elephant, he started ruling the kingdom in his own style. He stopped, Vena, his consciousness is I, me, and mine. He completely stopped Brahmanas he forbade Brahmanas from doing their basic duties. What are Brahmanas' basic duties? Sacrifices, doing the charities, oblations, right? These are the basic duties. He says, na yashtavyam, na datavyam, na hotavyam, dvijaha kvachit. So he stopped the Brahmanas from doing the charity, from doing the Havan sacrifices, which actually is done for pleasing the Lord Vishnu. If Lord Vishnu is satisfied, then what happens? His limbs are satisfied, which are the demigods, Prakriti. And then in that way you get all the opulence in the kingdom, right? But Vena, what did he do? He just cut off that very basic thing that Brahmanas could do for upliftment of the kingdom, of the people in kingdom. Okay. So now the people in the kingdom are in very dangerous position. On one side, there are thieves and rogues, and the other side is Vena. where do they run, right? Do we get these kind of situations sometimes in life? We all do, right? So Krishna says that there is, on one side, there is Radha Kunja Bihari ji. And on the other side, there is Prakriti giving you फटके के ऊपर फटके, right? फिर भी सुधर नहीं रहे हैं. So the Prakriti is making sure that you're getting purified. And then on one side it is Radha Kunja Bihari ji. Now it is up to us which way we want to run. Do we want to run towards Prakriti, towards Maya, who is sending, purifying us every step? Or do we want to run towards Radha Kunja Bihari ji? That is up to us. That we have to decide. So this Praja is in Duvidha now, that they are in danger from both the sides. So Srila Prabhupada says in purport very beautifully there that karmis are busy acquiring money, while ordinary jnanis are focused on liberation. So they are focused on liberation, but whose liberation? Their own liberation. So the karmis are thinking about themselves. The jnanis are also thinking about themselves. But the devotees of the Lord, the sages who are Krishna conscious, who knows the absolute truth, they are always thinking about others. They're always compassionate. They're always thinking, how can we help them? So the sages, after putting Krishna on the Vena on the throne, they went back to their own businesses. But then when they saw that the people in the Praja, they are in again danger, they decide to talk Vena. Okay? They start giving him a prep talk. They are saying, Vena, let them at least do, their basic duties. That will give you opulence. That will give you fame. So they are trying to prep talk him like this, that how it is beneficial for you. Right? Because the sadhus or the great sages, devotees, they understand how to get on a platform of somebody who can understand, like they speak their language. Does that make sense? An intelligent person does not try to give them Krishna consciousness directly. Those who go for book distribution, I'm sure they know that we have to speak their language. We have to come down to their level and try to make them understand. Same thing the sadhus are doing. They're trying to tell Vena how this is going to be beneficial for you, Vena, to do this. And Vena is still like, nope, I am the God and you have to listen to me. So he says to these sages, his reply to the sages is that Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Vayu, the master of air, Yama, the superintendent of death, the sun god, the director of rainfall, Kuvera, the treasurer, the moon god, the predominating deity of the earth, Agni, the fire god, Varuna, the lord of waters, and all others who are great and competent to bestow benedictions or to curse, all abide in the body of the king. Is Vena wrong here? Is he wrong? He's not. Because that is the reality. And that is why the king is also known as the representative of Krishna. Because he is truly a representative of Krishna, all the demigods, so many millions of demigods, they come and reside in the body of king because they are at his disposal. Okay, you want to do this for your kingdom? We are here to help you. Krishna has granted us that we can help you. So Vena is not wrong here, but he is taking that to his advantage. That is wrong. So he tells them that being your king, all of these demigods are subordinate to me. I am providing you, O sages, by telling me to do this, you are actually wanting to worship Vishnu. You are trying to preach worshipping Vishnu to me and to the kingdom. You are like that unchaste wife of that husband who is providing everything for you. Does this make sense? So he is thinking that actually Veda starts thinking himself as he is the God. He is the Paramatma, he is the supreme absolute truth. And that's why he's literally talking like Krishna. Like he is saying, Aham sarvasya prabho mata sarvam pravartate. Like everything is coming from me. And instead of worshipping me like an unchaste wife, you want to worship that Vishnu. So now, sorry, I don't know what is happening here. Okay. So with this, Vena really insults and the sages. And now the sages think that, okay, we have tried everything. This Vena doesn't want to behave. So before he destroys everything, it is best, because of his behavior, he's not just mischievous, he's not just nuisance, but he is actually anti-Vishnu. He is anti-Vishnu, and such a king cannot uplift anybody. He is actually taking everybody to the Patala Loka. Like, he's taking everybody down the hill. So this kind of anti-Vishnu, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that nobody should hear blaspheme against Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. So these sages now thinking that, okay, we enthroned Vena, that means we also sided with him. So because of that, we don't want to become sinful and suffer the reactions. And now, ab to height hi ho gayi. He is completely anti-Vishnu, he is blaspheming our Lord. So we have to kill him before it gets really out of hand. So all these sages, they're so powerful. They could have killed Vena and brought somebody else even before, but they're compassionate. They always give one chance, right? So now they decide that they're going to kill Vena, and just by, in the shloka it says, just by humkara, because they're so angry, just by their humkara and their looks at him with anger, Vena is dead. So this was a story of Vena who thinks of himself of I am the doer. In this, we can see that I call it a Vena vritti. I feel we all have that Vena vritti. I can speak for myself. I, me, mine. I want the attention. I want the loyalty of these devotees. I have been nurturing them, I have been cultivating them. And now how come they are going to other devotee and, taking shelter from them? It happens to all of us, that Vena vritti. We all love to hear our glorifications. Sorry, I'm speaking about myself. So everybody has that Vena vritti. From that Vena vritti, we want to move on to Vidura vritti. Let's see what the Vidura vritti says. So, in 3.28, Krishna was talking about how the spirit soul, who is so pure in nature, who is Satchidananda, right? Who is blissful, who is eternal, and who is knowledgeable. What is Krishna saying? Knowledgeable. So we'll see what this knowledge is Krishna talking about. Because we are all very educated here. Some of us are PhDs, some of us are engineers, some of us are doctors. So we are all knowledgeable here. But what that knowledge Krishna is talking about, we'll see that in a minute. But Prabhupada says in the purport that the spirit soul is in an awkward position in this material world. So I have this picture here, you can see. We are trying to mix the water and oil together. Would it ever mix together? No. No matter how much you shake, even then you will see small tiny bubbles there. So we are like that oil coming from the spiritual world. And we are trying to find happiness in this material world, trying to have our little kingdoms to control in this material world. So we are every step going against the flow of our nature, right? What is the nature, what is the swabhava of a salt? Very simple question. Being salty. What is the swabhava of a sugar? Being sweet. What is the swabhava of an eternal jiva? Being in Krishna's consciousness, right? Being the servant of the Lord and his devotees. So, when we come in contact with this material world, we forget our swabhava. And we are trying to merge into the water, which is not happening. And that's why we are all always frustrated, right? Prabhupada says in purport that the knower of the absolute truth engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness. So we'll have to also understand what is the absolute truth, right? Prabhupada says that in 254, it says, Arjuna vacha sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava sthita dhihi kim prabhasheta kim asit vrajeta kim. So Arjuna, he is asking Krishna that Krishna, you're talking about all these self-realized souls, sthita prajnas. What are their symptoms? You know, how do they see? How do they walk? How do they sit? Arjuna is asking their symptoms. And Prabhupada says very nicely in the purport that he says that when a rich man is around us, can you tell he is a rich man? He makes sure that others understand that he is a rich man. What are his symptoms? Many symptoms that he is making sure that he is a rich man. If you are around a deceased person, he shows the symptoms of deceased, and that's how we can understand that this person is deceased, right? Similarly, this Sthita Prajna also has some symptoms, the way he walks, the way he talks. So the Sthita Prajna, he is always, the way he talks is his speech. Any foolish person can dress very well, but we don't know he's foolish until he opens his mouth. But this Sthita Prajna, he will always engage himself in glorifying the Lord. That is how he talks. The Sthita Prajna is always associating with the devotees, associating with Mahabhagavatas, the Bhagavat book, right? This is how they sit in transcendental knowledge. The Sthita Prajnas, they only walk to holy dhams or coming to the temple. You won't see them going to parties, you know. I'm talking about Sthita Prajnas, not many of us, okay? So, these are the symptoms of a self-realized soul or a person. And this person is not disturbed by all kinds of material reactions which he considers to be the mercy of the Lord. This is very important point, that these people, Sthita Prajnas, are not disturbed by the disturbance caused by material nature. And the last point here, one who knows, again knowledge of the absolute truth, we are going to look at what these are in three different features, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Tattvavid. So, who is this Tattvavid? Let's say sun. When I say sun, first thing that came in your mind, please tell me. Heat. Okay, what else? Light. Okay, what else? Huh? Huh? Sorry, what did you? Sky. Okay. Yeah, why do you like it? Because of the sun rays. It gives you little heat. So when we say sun, what do we think about? The sun rays. Okay, that is one understanding. Then, we can think of the sun globe. That is little more better understanding of sun. Sun is not just the light, heat or sun rays, but sun is actually a globe where it is all coming from. Does that make sense? So far good? All right. Then when we say sun, somebody who has read scriptures can also say, oh, hold on a minute, there is a sun god. His name is Vivaswan, right? He resides on sun and he has this chariot and every morning he goes on a stroll giving sunshine to the whole universe, etc., etc., etc. Similarly, when we talk about Krishna, there is the effulgence of his body, right? That effulgence of Krishna's body is called Brahma Jyoti or Brahman. Understand him as Brahman. Is that wrong? No, it is not wrong. But is it complete understanding? No, it's not complete understanding either. Okay, some people think the Jnanis, they understand him as Paramatma, right? They are meditating on Paramatma feature, which is also beneficial, right? That's not wrong either, because that takes them to liberation. But that liberation is not complete liberation. Krishna's devotees, they know him as Shyamasundar, right? They know him as Shyamasundar, who is sitting in Goloka Vrindavan and orchestrating everything here. Can you imagine that? He is sitting there with his flute, with his cows, with his gopis, having blissful time. So, we talked about Brahma Jyoti, which is Brahman, then Paramatma, and then the complete absolute truth, Bhagavan. Okay? So that is the absolute truth. We understand the absolute truth now. Now, in Bhagavad Gita 9.2, it talks about Prabhupada is very specific about knowledge. He gives a definition of knowledge or real intelligence, Buddhi Yoga. He says there is mundane knowledge and then there is Guhyam knowledge, right? Rajaguhyam. What is that Rajaguhyam? Which is the king of the knowledge. And that knowledge is given in Bhagavad Gita, right? Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. That knowledge is given in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that one who understands that I am not this body. The Guhya knowledge, which is the Gupit knowledge, is that I am not this body. None of this knowledge is taught to you in colleges, in commerce, in engineering. Has anyone learned this in your colleges, that you are not this body? No. Even the doctors, they go through so many anatomies and all of that. But none of that says that, hold on, but this is not your body. You're not this body. None of that says that, right? So that is the basic knowledge, to understand I am not this body. Hold on. So if I'm not this body, who am I? I am the spirit soul coming from the spiritual world. Okay? Then there is Paramatma. There is super soul. I am the soul and there is super soul. If there is a super soul, what is my relationship with that super soul? That is even more confidential knowledge, which is called Guhyatam. And now the topmost knowledge, Guhyatara, and then the topmost knowledge is Guhyatama. Understanding that relationship. So now we have Sambandha. Okay? Now we understand, okay, I am the soul, and then there is Bhagavan or Paramatma, the super soul, and my relation to him is that I am part and parcel of him. My swabhava eternally is to be subordinate to him, to serve him with devotional service. That is my sambandha is fixed now with the Supreme Lord. Okay? Now how we are going to go from that sambandha to prayojana? That is called abhidheya. That abhidheya is all the activities we perform in between. And who is our guide for that? our Gurudev, our scriptures, our acharyas. With that, we can get to our prayojana. So, I hope this is okay so far. Now, let's talk about now Krishna. Krishna is like, peeling off layer by layer, like showing us the reality. So first we understood that who we are, then we understood that who is the absolute truth, what is the real knowledge. Now Krishna is saying, hold on a minute, now you understood all of this. Are you still thinking that you are the doer? Are you still thinking you are the doer? So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives, there are 3 doers. The jiva who desires to enjoy, being the Satchidananda, the soul is always blissful. It's always happy. And to find that happiness in material world, it starts identifying itself with the body, with the senses. So now to enjoy, it depends on the senses, right? To see the beauty and get pleasure, it depends on the eyes. So the jiva is the first doer, okay? The second doer is the super soul, the Paramatma sitting in our hearts, who is monitoring everything. Everything means everything that even others cannot see. Even if we give charity, others are going to say, "Arey, inhone to $1 million charity mein diya." But they don't know that you gave this $1 million charity because you are going to get tax benefit. Okay? But, so you can fool the entire world. But you बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में कि दुनिया को आप उल्लू बना सकते हो, but खुद को कैसे उल्लू बनाओगे? Because a Paramatma sitting in your heart is even noticing your intentions. What you are thinking, you are 24/7 under surveillance. You sleep, Paramatma does not sleep. All the dishas, all the directions, the air, there are so many demigods that are constantly monitoring you, and the live report is going to who? Yamaraj. Okay? So when the last minute comes, fatafat, all the calculations are done. And then but Krishna even gives one chance even at that time. He says, okay, we know all Ajamila. Even if you were mischievous all throughout your life, at the last minute, if you think about me, I will still save you. With Ajamila, Vishnu Dutas came on scene and they did not take Yamadutas, let Ajamila's soul drag to Yamanagari, right? So that's how merciful Krishna is. So now we have some clarity on what the knowledge is, who the supreme absolute truth is. Now let's take a couple examples of, these Thita Prajnas, how they behave and how they take the disturbances of material nature as Krishna's mercy. Who all know Vidurji here? I'm sure everybody has seen Mahabharata. At least must have heard about Vidura. So Vidura was the uncle of Pandavas. Have everyone heard about Pandavas and Kauravas at least? If you don't know the details, raise your hands please. I don't know how much in flashback I need to go. Okay, so everybody knows and Pandavas and Kauravas. So Vidurji was the uncle of Pandavas and Kauravas. He was born from a dasi. Although he was the son of the king, but because he was born from a dasi, he was considered as Shudra. So he was not considered a Brahmana, although he had qualities of Brahmana. He was not considered as Kshatriya, but he was considered a Shudra, which means he never had any right to be enthroned. Okay? This Vidura was a genuine well-wisher of Dhritarashtra and Pandavas also. He saved Pandavas from so many misdeeds that Kauravas, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana were plotting so many misdeeds against Pandavas to kill them, right? Because of the greed. So Vidura always used to save them. This Vidura was also a very genuine well-wisher of the kingdom, Hastinapur and Dhritarashtra. Because he knew that how much Dhritarashtra was not just blind materially, physically, but his buddhi was also blind. He could not see anything beyond his sons and ruling the kingdom. So whatever Duryodhana kept doing, he always blindsided that. He put a blind eye on it, like he always tried to cover up. So Vidura always used to give very good guidance to Dhritarashtra. When Duryodhana was born, Vidura knew that this child is going to be a cause for the ruin of this Hastinapur. At that time, Vidura had warned Dhritarashtra that this child disown him. He will split the kingdom, he will ruin the kingdom. But Dhritarashtra was a father. He couldn't do it. And then everybody could see in Mahabharata how slowly by slowly Duryodhana became so, so powerful that he started plotting against Pandavas. He did not even want to give villages worth tip of 5 needles to Pandavas. That's how much he became greedy. Actually, it was not greed, it was more envy. Because greed and envy, when it's combined, that time person behaves like this. That he just cannot see anything good happening to Pandavas. So even at the last, Vidura says to Dhritarashtra that Dhritarashtra, enough is enough. You know, Krishna got you this Shanti Prastav. Just give them 5 villages and you can completely avoid this battle of Kurukshetra where millions and millions of people are innocent people are gonna die. But what does Dhritarashtra do? They don't agree. Duryodhana says, I'm not gonna give it. So at that time, Vidura really gives up. And he says, Dhritarashtra, you need to disown Duryodhana. You need to get rid of this Duryodhana because you are not seeing what is coming. What do you think? This is going to be a battle between Dharma and Adharma. What do you think? Who is going to win? Krishna is on their side. Who is going to win? You are going to lose all your children, all your 100 sons if you don't give them villages. And Duryodhana just does not want to budge. Duryodhana not only not want to budge, but he starts blaspheming Vidura. He says, O Shudra, who invited you here in this assembly? Take this Shudra and throw him out of the kingdom right now. Leave him only with his breath. This is how he insulted Vidura. What did Vidura do? Vidura was a minister, right? He could have had his own party and rebel against them. Hamari jasi nahi denge, right? He could have rebelled. What did he do? Because he was a self-realized sthita prajna, he took that as the opportunity to dive deeper in Krishna consciousness, to learn more about Krishna and meditate upon Krishna. He washed his hands. He left. You can see in one of the pictures, his bow and arrow. He just sets the bow and arrow at the door of the kingdom, of the palace, and detached with everything, he walks away. He walks away in the forest. He goes to so many forests, lives as a mendicant with no roof, no bed, nothing. He would completely rely on the Lord to maintain him. And he went to so many holy places. Actually, Yudhishthir Maharaj says in one of the chapters in Srimad Bhagavatam that saints like Vidura, although he was a grahastha, right? But with his consciousness, he was a saint. Saints like Vidura, so many sinful people go in Ganga, Mother Ganga, River Ganga, to wash off their sins. What do you think happens to Mother Ganga? Gets so much sinful reaction, like so much sin is coming in and in and in, right? But sages, saints like Vidurji, when they go to take bath in Ganga, they wash off those sins and purify Ganga. This is given in scriptures, I'm not making this up. So, Vidurji goes in holy places and approaches Maitreya Muni and, accepts him as his spiritual master and learns everything about spirituality, about Krishna consciousness. Now, these realized souls, right? They are not only thinking about themselves, like I said a few minutes ago. They're very compassionate. Although he was detached, he was still thinking about Dhritarashtra because he genuinely loved and cared for his older brother. So he was thinking, how can I benefit him? He is still living because now by this time, the Mahabharata war is over. Krishna has already left this material world. He's thinking that Dhritarashtra is still being maintained now by Pandavas. He should give up this material attachment and make his life successful. Take up Krishna consciousness. So Vidurji, not thinking about his insult, he comes back to the palace and he he starts guiding Dhritarashtra. Now, he comes as a saintly person. What did he live as? A Shudra. What does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Who can preach? One, doesn't matter if he's a Shudra, if he has any nationality, as long as he is a Krishna's devotees, he can preach. So he comes back and he preaches Yudhishthir Maharaj. One can think like, he's a Shudra, how can he preach to this such a elevated Kshatriyas? Because Yudhishthir Maharaj also was listening. He was also in that sabha. So there are two reasons given in the scriptures. One is that if you go back, now let's go back a little bit of flashback. Vidurji is incarnation of who? It's right there, Yamarajji. So Yamarajji, he himself, we have this image of Yamarajji, right? Like who is very cruel, taking the souls, dragging the souls and punishing them. But unfortunately, just like Maya, that is his job. Krishna has given him that job and he does it wonderfully. No mistakes. Well, only one mistake he makes actually. That's why he comes as Vidura. So Yamarajji, he, being the devotee of the Lord, he also says sometimes to Lord, I'm always doing this kind of a job. When would I get to preach? When would I get to, take care of the Vaishnavas? When can I serve them? So that was one reason. The other reason was that there was a little slight mistake happens with Yamarajji in the judgment of Mandaka Muni. Mandaka Muni was a very elevated devotee, but when he was a child, he pierced one ant with a thorn. Now these children, they don't understand much, right? They do any silly things. So Mandaka Muni, he actually pierced the ant with a thorn. And because of that, he was destined to give a punishment of Shula. Shula means a lancer. And you don't want to know that punishment. That punishment is the Shula is inserted through the rectum and it's pushed through your skull. And that's how a person dies. So you can imagine there are accidents happen. People have heart attacks. Why everybody does not die like just one style? Why everybody has different reasons how they die, right? What time they die. So you can understand from this, Mandaka Muni, being a child, pierced a small ant, very insignificant jiva, with a thorn, and that was his punishment, that was destined. So, when the king understands that he's going to be punished this way, and how that happens is actually in ashrama there were thieves that were stealing stuff, and what do you call them? The king's people who come and arrest soldiers. Thank you. So the soldiers came there, and they, along with the thieves, they also arrested Mandaka Muni. And that's how everybody was going to get that punishment. But then when the king found out that he was, going to be getting that punishment, king comes and stops that. But then Mandaka Muni gets very upset with Yamarajji. He said, you made a mistake of giving me that kind of a punishment. You're not fit to be Vaishnava. Or doing your job, you will take birth as a Shudra. So these are the two reasons why Yamarajji came as Vidura. But in reality, he is one of the 12 Mahajanas, right? Like Bhishma Mitadev. Can anybody say some names of Mahajanas? Okay. Yeah. So we have 12 Mahajanas who are the authorities on preaching. These 12 Mahajanas. So Yamarajji is one of those 12 Mahajanas. So being the Vaishnava, being the Mahajana himself, he has the full authority to preach Yudhishthir and many Kshatriyas who are elevated in that assembly. So that was Vidurji's example. Now quickly I'll talk about Parikshit Maharaj. I think everybody knows Parikshit Maharaj. When Uttara was pregnant with Parikshit Maharaj, in the womb, Ashwathama, he wanted to completely wash off, another example of envy, completely wash off the family of Pandavas. So the last, when he finds out that Uttara is pregnant, he sends a Brahmastra to kill the baby in the womb of Uttara. At that time, Lord Vishnu himself enters the womb of Uttara to save Parikshit Maharaj. That's how special Parikshit Maharaj is. That Krishna himself came to save him in the womb. Parikshit Maharaj got a glance, a darshan, a quick darshan of Lord Vishnu, the four-handed form in the womb. And that's why he was named Parikshit, because anyone he would see, he would take the pariksha. Is that the same person I saw in the womb, in my mother's womb? So that's why his name was Parikshit Maharaj. So I'll just quickly go through the life story of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was a devotee of the Lord from the very beginning of his childhood. He would always play with dolls that are Krishna, Gopas, That's how spiritual he was from the beginning. When he was enthroned, after Pandavas left the palace, after Krishna's disappearance, then Parikshit Maharaj was enthroned of the Hastinapur. Actually, he ruled the entire world, and that is why it was called Bharatavarsha, right? And India is still called Bharata. So when he ruled, there was no presence of Kali. He ruled, he was a Raja Rishi. He ruled by the books, by the guidance of Brahmanas. Everyone was very happy, including the animals. So the cows gave so much milk, the grass was always green, the earth gave so many gems, so much grain, because they were genuinely very happy in the ruling of Maharaj Parikshit. This Maharaj Parikshit met with Kali one day, because Mahabharata happened on the cusp of Dwapar and Kali Yuga. So the Kali Yuga had to come. We cannot stop that. So one day, while going on the tour of his kingdom, Maharaj Parikshit sees a person dressed like a king, but he was beating a cow and a bull very badly. So Maharaj Parikshit asked him, who are you? A king would not do that. In my ruling, I will not tolerate this. So who are you disguised in a king's dress? So Kali falls on his knees and he starts begging forgiveness from Maharaj Parikshit. He says, I'm Kali and I'm trying to get some presence. But in your kingdom, nobody is sinful. So where am I supposed to go? So at that time, instead of killing, because this kind of a person should be killed right away. Scripture says that, right? You're allowed to kill a person who plunders others' wealth, right? Takes away their wife. So there are different kind of sinners. It is given in the scriptures that they should be killed right away. So Maharaj Parikshit could have killed him. But because Kali, surrendered to Maharaj Parikshit, he decided not to kill him because now he is under his protection. So not only under his protection, not only he did not kill him, but now Kali is asking for something. Give me some places where I can reside. Then I won't do these kind of things, right? So then Maharaj Parikshit gives him in the wealth, in intoxication. So there are 3-4 things like that. And that is why Prabhupada has given us these 4 regulative principles that we follow, that where Kali does not reside. So this Parikshit Maharaj, now we know his character, how pure of a soul he is. One day he goes for hunting. Now we would think, why is he hunting if he's such a nice person? Well, in earlier days, in those days, sometimes kings would go for hunting so that they can refine their kala of fighting, like archery and so many other things, right? So the animals are moving targets naturally, right? They are so far. So they used to do that. But these Vaishnava Kshatriyas, they were very powerful. They would also pray them that, hey, I'm killing you, please forgive me. And they would be delivered, those animals would be delivered and get a better destination in next lifetime. So in this way we can see that the Kshatriya used to go for hunting. So one day Maharaj Parikshit went for hunting, and all of a sudden he started feeling very fatigued, very thirsty, very hungry, very fatigued. So he sees that there was a hut nearby of a sage, and he enters that hut, and he sees a sadhu, a rishi, a sage in samadhi. He tries to get his attention, but the sage is so absorbed in his samadhi on Paramatma in the heart that he did not address Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit gets angry and he sees a dead snake there. And he just takes the snake and puts it around like a garland on that sage. Now, can we believe like Maharaj Parikshit doing something like this? But it is said, Prabhupada says in the purport, that these are Krishna's ways of making some things happen. The Yoga Maya all of a sudden makes you forget about yourself, what your position is, right? And when we are angry, we can't think about proper things anyways. So Maharaj Parikshit does that, and he leaves in anger. As soon as he leaves, he realizes that what he did was not wrong, was very wrong. What he did was very wrong. And he starts repenting. By that time, the Rishi's son, Shringi, comes on the scene, and he sees the dead snake around his father's neck. And his friends who were playing there, they tell him that this Maharaj Parikshit did this. And Shringi gets furious. Now Shringi, being a Brahmana, was very powerful too, right? As soon as he hears that, in the rage, he touches the water, Prabhupada says, like he does the achaman. and he curses Maharaj Parikshit that from 7th day from today, a snake bird will come and bite you, and you will die, O Parikshit. By that time, the sage, he comes in the consciousness. He realizes what is going on around. And the sage becomes very aggrieved. Why would a sage become aggrieved? Somebody might think that, अच्छा किया मेरे बच्चे, मेरा बदला लिया. Right? A proud father can think, अब मेरे बेटे के power I am seeing, that how powerful my son is. No. Rishi becomes very, was that Shanaka Rishi? Shamika Rishi, okay, I was close. Shamika Rishi becomes very sad and he tells Shringi, what have you done? He is a Raja Rishi. We need Raja Rishis like Parikshit Maharaj. Now, after Parikshit Maharaj, when the society degrades, we Brahmanas will be responsible for that. But Shringi cannot take his curse back now. And Parikshit Maharaj, now let's come on the other side. Now Parikshit Maharaj, he hears the curse. Okay? Now Parikshit Maharaj himself is so powerful. He's pure devotee of the Lord. He could have reversed Shringi's curse. मैं भी तुम्हें curse करता हूँ, Shringi. Right? He could have done that. Or he could have completely reversed the curse. But Parikshit Maharaj took that as mercy of the Lord. And immediately, he also detached from everything. His kingdom, his opulences, his wife, his children, gave up everything right away, and he headed the forest. On the river banks of river Saraswati, he meets Shukadev Goswami. Now don't think this all happens by chance. Shukadev Goswami was a roaming mendicant, like a sage. How is he happened to be on Saraswati river? Exactly at the time of Parikshit Maharaj reaches there. Because it is all orchestrated by the Lord. So that we can hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. That being said, on Wednesday there is Gita Jayanti. If you feel that you learnt even a little bit from this class was based completely on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. If you felt you learnt anything made sense out of this class to you, please don't forget to buy or a gift a Bhagavad Gita Srimad Bhagavatam on Mokshada Ekadashi, which is on this Wednesday on Gita Jayanti Day. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hari Bol. Prabhuji, ye nikalu main?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We'll request everyone to please rise for Aarti now.
श्री श्री राधा कुंज बिहारी भगवान की, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की, श्री श्री गौर निताय की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे।
Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Sankirtan Yagya ki jai. Brihad Mridanga ki jai. Samaved Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Yeto श्री नरसिंह भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्री प्रभुपाद की।